Evening all. Welcome to this edition of Dispatches from the Culture Wars. There's a lot going on in sport at the moment, particularly English international sport. But I want to focus on football today. Maybe another day I'll get to the cricket side of things. So the England fans have been booing at footballers who have been taking the knee. They started doing this at club level, and now it's happened at international level. And what's happened is that the football authority, the players, the England manager Gareth Southgate, the FA, and the mainstream broadcasters and press have doubled down. Gary Lineker himself says, if you are booing the players for taking the knee, you're part of the problem. Gareth Southgate wrote this very eloquent piece about, the honour of representing your country at football and the incredible diverse range of players there's been, how the game. On the surface, it sounds fine, but it doesn't address the real problem, which is that the fans aren't booing because they're racist. That's the narrative that's being contrived. It's being created. It's a false narrative. They are booing because they see taking the knee as something imported from America. It began with Colin Kaepernick. Let's be fair and accurate that Kaepernick's career as a quarterback in the American football and National Football Leagues was failing. He was a reserve team player, but he objected to what the US flag represented. He objected to the US national anthem. He took the knee. It was this kind of protest about racism in the United States, and that's just been wholesale transplanted to the UK. A lot of the Black Lives Matter stuff has been just cut from American politics and dumped into British political life. So the fans are objecting to something that's imported, something that's connected to the Black Lives Matter movement, which the fans know is Marxist. It wants to destroy capitalism. It wants to defund the police. It's against the nuclear family. It's against a lot of the things that Western culture, Western civilization stand for, including due process and the rule of law. And these are things that the fans, being small c conservative, kind of traditional, do not want the pillars of their society tampered with. And we're not talking about, I know the left-wing detractors will say, oh, the pillars of the civilization are all racist. No, that's not what they think. They think, due process, the rule of law is a high ideal. They think that treating people equally, regardless of the colour of their skin, is a noble goal, and they try and live it out in their own lives. Prove to me how these fans booing are racist. Show me what they do in their daily lives that is racist. It's supposition. They're booing, therefore they must be racist. And that is a false narrative. Because the fans themselves, if people took the time to listen to fans, because they write on social media, they comment, they make their opinions heard online, if anybody took the time to listen to them, you would find out they're not racist, and they're not booing because of racism, that they want to uphold racism. They don't like the Black Lives Matter movement. So then the narrative has been spun into, well, they're taking it's not connected to the Black Lives Matter movement. It just means Black Lives Matter in general as a concept rather than the organization. But when you look at it, that doesn't really hold up, because Sky Television in particular, since George Floyd's death, have put up the Black Lives Matter logo on when the cricket commentary was being done in 2020. All the presenters, Michael Holding, Ian Ward, I'm trying to think who else, Ebony Raisford Brown, is it, or Waller, Nasser Hussain. They're all wearing the badge, Black Lives Matter badge, the official logo. The official logo was put up on the screen. If you watch Sky Television, it's still up there on the screen. If you look in the stands, the Black Lives Matter logo is displayed in the stands. This is a direct connection to the political organisation. Not only that, Comcast, who owns Sky, have paid money to the Black Lives Matter organisation. They have donated to it. So it is connected to the political movement. It's not just a statement. But even then, when you look at it, so the players take the knee, and then what? Well, they're protesting racism in general. Well, there've already been 2 campaigns about that. Kick racism out of football and show racism the red card. They have been successful, and the fans have been united behind them. And you can show evidence of this. You know, the behaviour at football grounds has improved. Black players receive very few insults and threats based on their race at football matches, and if the fans are caught racially abusing a football player at a football match, they're quickly ejected. They often face lifetime bans, possible criminal prosecution. There's also been great strides made in taking football, using the money from the FA, putting it into grassroots community football, and adopting a colourblind attitude when it comes to running football at an amateur and youth level. There's been fantastic progress made in this. But Black Lives Matter and the taking the knee is threatening to undermine all that, because taking the knee has no tangible follow-ons. Okay, you take the knee until what? Until what specifically? See, that was the thing about kick racism out of football. They identified, okay, we need to kick racism out of football. How are we going to do that? Well, first of all, find out who the abusive fans are. Who's throwing bananas on the pitch at the black players? Who's throwing heated coins and other missiles at the black players? Right, deal with them first. How's the coaching going on at youth level? Are young black kids being unfairly prejudiced against? They're being judged not on their footballing skills, merit, enthusiasm, and willingness to participate, but on the colour of their skin. Okay, deal with that. Okay, and that was focused. Right, taking the knee is not focused because they say, well, we're doing this to end racism in society. Well, good luck with that, because you are always going to find racists here, racists there. Most people aren't racist, so why are they taking the knee? It doesn't lead to anything tangible. And what's happening, I see, is that there's this massive disconnect now. The players, the management, the FA, and the sports broadcasters are turning a deaf ear. And that's why the booing's happening. It's the only way the fans have got left to communicate their displeasure at the connections between taking the knee, the Black Lives Matter message, and the Black Lives Matter organisation. They have to get their voices heard. And they think booing is the only thing they've got left, because if you write in, it gets ignored. If you speak, as I'm speaking to you now, trying to outline the arguments, they get ignored. Everything gets ignored. So that's what they feel. The only thing they've got left is that. But it's all falling on deaf ears. It's not just the powers that be can't understand what's being said to them. They refuse to understand. They refuse. Gary Lineker, Gary Neville. Gary Neville, by the way, wants football fans to go in for indoctrination camp. They've got to be educated in being anti-racist. So that would involve unconscious bias testing and critical race theory teaching. And he wants that before they're even allowed in the match. You can't go and watch a football match unless you've got some kind of certificate from whatever teaching establishment, whatever establishment sort of gives you a certificate saying you are not a racist. You are allowed to go to a football match. This is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, when they can't even prove that booing is linked to racism. And they won't be able to prove that because there's very little, there's barely any proof. The evidence that the booing is not related to racism just isn't there. Okay, so what should be done? Well, I had a cheeky idea today, and that is the football fans, instead of booing, just come up with something that will send the players, the management, the FA, the broadcasters, get their heads spinning, right? And that is, adopt the chant, stand up if you hate racists. Okay, use that. Go in the crowd and say, stand up if you hate racists, and see what happens. That is my suggestion. Until next time, goodbye from the trenches of the culture war. Take care.